We work with clients all around the world, and a lot of people have personal issues that are going on in their life. They also have businesses that run around that happen in their life. And one of the main questions we get asked is, hey, listen, if I start my temporary residency process, am I able to leave the country and go take care of the responsibilities that I have? And today we're going to go over the do's and do nots when you are applying for temporary residency. And if you break some of these rules, what are the consequences in doing so? So stay tuned if you're looking for temporary residency here in Serbia. All right, we are approaching the spring, summer time, and the requests are coming in. People are looking at least within the next month, the next 2 months, or some are even looking into the summer and fall of this year into coming into Serbia. And the main question and some of the things that we have people that actually just show up and then find out the hard way is that when you start the temporary residency process, it's not that easy to actually just leave and then come back and continue with that process. And we've come across this with a few clients that had to learn the hard way, even after we have advised them not to do certain things, that they ended up doing that because they were maybe had a different train of thought. They thought they wouldn't get caught. They were given information by other people that said, oh, it does not matter, even when they hire us and we give them the true advice. For some reason, people think that when you hire us that we're going to tell you not to do or do something in the best interest of us. But when you hire us, we're looking for the best interest of you and make sure that your process goes as smooth as possible. But there's other people out there that will influence people, act as if they know, and then the client listens to them and they move forward with what they said, and when they come back, they learn that things have changed and they cannot just proceed, and that in the end that we were right. And so the main question is that when I start temporary residency, the process application, should I say, because you can purchase a property here, you can open up a company here with the intention of obtaining temporary residency. Now, those are two separate processes that you have to understand. They're not all done at the same time. So you're either going to purchase the property, close on the property, have it in your name, and then start temporary residency after that on the basis of that property purchase. Or you're going to open up a business, have that registered and operational, and then start your temporary residency process. But they're not done at the same time. And there's no time limit saying, hey, I'm going to open up the company today, I'm going to purchase a property today, and in 6 months, I'm going to then apply for temporary residency. We have clients that do that, and there's absolutely no issue with that. The issue is that once we apply for your temporary residency, that you do not leave the country. Does not matter if you have family obligations, does not matter if you have business obligations. Now, if they are actual 911 emergencies, they are, say, a family member died or something like that, legitimate reasonings, then you could have some way to get yourself out of hot water. But essentially, if you are going to be getting health insurance, you're going to have your photos taken, then we're going to apply for your temporary residency. You don't want to leave the country because you don't know when they will either set an appointment for you to come in for an interview, request more information that will require you not only to go with us to get certain documents. You may need documents from your landlord. You may need to go with your landlord or somebody else to the notary and get things notarized before you are submitting those documents in. And the thing is, if they ever do ask for more documents from you in order to proceed with your temporary residency process, they typically give you an 8-day window, and that's 8 days period. That's not 8 working days, that's 8 days. And if you do not fulfill those requirements, then they are going to simply cancel your process. And the issue that arises with that is once they cancel your process, then you're going to be out your residency fee, which is about 200 euros. And so if you want to then start again or continue with the process, you have to reapply from the beginning. And so then you're going to be out that 200. Say you left the country and then you came back and your white paper is not valid anymore. Now you have to get a new white paper. That may not match up with the other documents that you have, and it causes a complete mess of the whole system. Not only then do we have to start from the beginning on your part, but then you also have to start from the beginning as well, and that might include other people, such as getting new lease agreements, getting new translations done, so on and so forth. And so I highly recommend that if people are coming into Serbia and they are looking to obtain temporary residency, that you don't just come here and then say, hey, I have XYZ obligations and I have to leave, and then you leave and then you're in hot water. We have someone that's coming recently from the United Kingdom here, and she has a passport that she holds that only gives her 30 days in Serbia, visa-free travel. And she said, well, I want to move into Serbia, but the thing is that I only have this passport here. The issue also you have to look at is, what passport do you have? You need a visa D before you can go into temporary residency. And so there's a lot of clients we work with that have multiple passports. And so we say, you know what, it's easier to wait to get this passport and come in on this passport than coming in on a weaker passport and then having more processes. So these are also things that you have to take into consideration. And the issue when it comes to a visa D is that you may be able to come into Serbia on a visa D passport here and set up a company, purchase property, so on and so forth. But if you're looking to switch over to a visa D, that also means that you have to have a reason to apply for that visa D. So there's some clients that came here, opened up businesses. Another one purchased a property, and then they wanted to go into temporary residency based on those two items, the business or the property. However, even though that they were in the country legally, in order to go into temporary residency, they still had to apply for their visa D, and they had to leave the country to apply on that on the basis of property purchase and the business. And so once they get that done, you can either go to Hungary, you can go to Bosnia, you can go outside of Serbia, apply for your visa D, obtain that visa D, come back into the country, and then apply for your temporary residency. But this is only for a very specific number of passport holders out there. If you're someone from Canada, United States, Mexico, if you are from any of the EU countries, Australia, things of those nature, people with strong passports, you typically don't need a visa D. You don't have to worry about that. Now, we do have a lot of inquiries from individuals from other parts of the world that need a visa just simply to enter the country. And so they're like, hey, can you set up a business for us before we come here? And there's a lot of extra paperwork, a longer process, which we typically don't like to do anyways. It's easier to do things with people in the country right off the bat because it's a very drawn out process. And in the end, even if you need a visa to come in the country, that is not up to us. that is up to immigration. If you have a basis to obtain a visa D, such as a business or a company, it's a lot easier, should I say. So these are the things that you have to take into consideration when you are coming here. Now, if you have custody, if you have a baby mama or whatever it is that you have to deal with, and you have court proceedings in your home country, just because you have court proceedings in your home country does not give you validity to go back home and break your temporary residency process here. Court-ordered procedures in one country has nothing to do with Serbia. Serbia is a complete jurisdiction, complete different processes, and they don't care if you have X, Y, and Z obligations here from a court in your home country, because you need to follow X, Y, and Z rules and regulations in this country. And so a lot of people think that, oh, because I come from this country and they told me I have to do that, that it's going to be legitimate here in Serbia, and that's completely irrelevant, and they don't look at that whatsoever. And they will simply stop your process and say no more. The other thing that you may come into a issue with is that because when you do leave the country, you do scan your passport at the airport or at any of the borders that you cross by ground. And so if you do leave the country and when they scan your passport, that could be reported back to the police or immigration. And if they find out that you left the country, then that also is basis for them to cancel your proceedings, because you must remain in the country while you are applying for your temporary residency. And I'm not saying to discourage people from applying for temporary residency. Just understand that if you are coming here, that you are going to be staying here for the full process. And this will typically take about 2 to 3 months, depending on the application process as well. Not only do we have to take into the consideration the time of year. Of course, winter, there's a lot less applications than there are spring, summer, and fall, and things take longer. But at the same time, what are you looking to do with your family members that are coming with you as well? So you could be coming in here applying for temporary residency for yourself, and then bringing in your children and saying, hey, they're going to get temporary residency based on family reunification. But that also means that you have to stay here in order for that process to be completed for them. Now, once you obtain your temporary residency card, you are free to go and do what you want, as long as you are within the country for 183 days out of the year to maintain your residency. Now, there are some workarounds to get that number a little lower, but we can discuss that in person and to explain to you what those bases are. I'm not going to get into that on this video here, because I know I will be getting bombarded with a million questions, and some of the things I don't do in this business is respond to YouTube video comments and their specific cases, because there'll be other people reading those comments and they'll think it's going to apply to them as well, but their situation has a certain variation, and we have to deal with everybody on a case-by-case basis, because as similar as the processes can be, one small little change such as a passport, or if someone was a stepchild or something like that, may change the process, and it does not apply to you just because someone may be in a similar boat to you. So I hope that this answered or clarified any questions for those that are wondering if you can stay in Serbia or if you have to stay in Serbia during your temporary residency process. Short answer is yes. And if you are starting the process, make sure you are ready and available to stay here for the full process in the best interest of you. We have no issues of restarting processes, but it's going to be more of a headache on your end. And we always advise our clients to make things as easy as possible for them. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.